All right, let's get right back into the action here, guys. Overwatch Hero Tier List Season 30 without any delay. Let's go. So, Soldier 76 just got his new set of buffs with the hit scanning changes, and I will say Soldier is S tier. I think Soldier is the best DPS in the game to play in ranked right now, mostly because of how consistent his damage is. And every meta in Overwatch, for those of you who don't know, has always formed around the most consistently good characters, right? Being consistent is the #1 thing for a character in Overwatch to have, consistency in its role. Soldier puts out some of the most damage. You can take angles on your own. You don't need help from your team a lot of the time. And Visor, very, very strong ultimate with its buff. So Soldier's going to be S tier. Best DPS in the game right now, in my opinion. Let's go next. Next is Arisa. And I would put Arisa at A tier, mostly because of how she can fit into double shield. I think Arisa's kind of become a character with Bap in the game and Sigma in the game as well that, you know, can kind of be run in a lot of different situations. And now that we're seeing more Roadhog in rank due to his recent buffs, Arisa is becoming a pretty consistently good pick. So I'd say Arisa's in a pretty good spot right now. Next is Zarya, and I'm going to say Zarya's B tier. The only reason why I say that is that other tanks in her category, like if you're good at Zarya, you can get value for sure. But other tanks in her category generally like have gotten power crept a little bit more while she's been nerfed. Like Diva's health pool is like really, really good. Sigma, obviously just a good character. Hog's been getting buffs as well, so that he's not given as much ult charge. So I don't know. I think Zarya's middle of the pack in terms of heroes right now. You can play her if you're good, but I think it's better for you to put your time into other characters for the most part. Torbjorn. Now I would say Torbjorn is B tier currently. I don't think like well, maybe even A tier, but I think Torb is just like a good middle of the pack, consistent character. If you're good with your turret, you can get a lot of value, but I think he's better on certain points than others, and I would not say he's as consistent as Soldier. So I'm going to put him right in that middle of the pack. Torb mains, don't fear. You have plenty of Torbjorn to lock in ranked. Now, Sigma, I want to say Sigma is S tier. Surely, like solely because of the fact that like he has so many good abilities. Like he has permanent uptime. He's super consistent if you get mechanics and stuff, and you can kind of have your own solo play style a lot of the time that doesn't really require your team. This character at his ceiling does so much, but at his floor not so much. So if you're the higher up you go in ranks, the better Sigma's going to be. But in low SR, I can't say that people will get more value on him over like a Reinhardt or something like that. But no, Sigma is still very, very strong character. I think he's one of the best tanks in the game. Reaper. Okay, I'm going to put Reaper in B tier. We see him get run sometimes. He's not a throw pick guaranteed, but he's also not the best hero in the game. So I'm going to say Reaper's B tier. He's not terrible, but he's not insanely good. But he's a pretty good character, especially in the right spot. So I'm going to say Reaper is B. Baptiste, obviously S tier. Like I think Bap is. Now a lot of people ask me all the time, like Samuel, do you think Bap is more broken or Brig? And I think the answer for that is Brig, because Brig like is much harder to fix. But Bap, it's just his immortality field is super broken. His ult buffs are fucking nuts. You know, his like he can heal the whole team easily. He can self heal. He can do his own stuff. Like this hero is like, if you want to climb on support, learning Baptiste is definitely the way, because you can just do so much with him. So yeah, Baptiste. Definitely S tier character. Mccree, I'm going to put in B tier. He can be really, really strong, but he's a very hard hero to balance because his win rates are so negative, but like he has some very gimmicky abilities like Flash Fan that are super, super strong. And obviously he's hit scanned. So after being hit by the hit scan nerfs, I'm going to drop him down from A to B. Like, you know, you could still get a lot of value as him, but like he requires a lot of peel, and it's very hard for teams to do that a lot of the time on ladder. So we're going to put Mccree in the middle of the pack. He's certainly a good hero, but, you know, I think it's a very high B, close to an A. And we're going to say Ana is, I want to say A tier, but if it's double shield, because double shield's in the game in a lot of these dive comps, she can't really be run without Brig. I want to put her in B. She's a good character. You can definitely play her, but I don't like in comparison to Bap, it's just night and day. Like she is not what makes the comp strong. You know, it's not the Ana unless you're playing like a full dive. So most of the time she's pretty good. We'll say B. Mei. Now I'm gonna put Mei in B as well. I think Mei is a sleeper pick in the DPS category. She's got a faster projectile speed than Hanzo. A self heal, can reload while self healing in her invincible state. Wall's very good, and Blizzard's a really strong ultimate, but she just has a very unique skill set that a lot of players haven't learned, so that's why you don't see a ton of Mei. But if you learn how to poke as Mei, instead of just get caught up in the freeze, she could be a really, really good character. So we're going to put Mei in B tier. I think she's a pretty pretty strong hero. And now Pharah, I'm going to put Pharah in A tier. I think that with the hit scan nerfs, aside from Soldier, like I think that Pharah in the right situations with a team comp that's designed to enable her can be really, really, really strong, especially on ladder with the hit scan nerfs. Now Soldier can definitely keep her in check, but you know, I definitely think Pharah on the right maps can be incredibly difficult to counter if given the proper resources. So Pharah gonna be A tier. Now Doomfist, I'm putting Doomfist in C tier, and the reason why I think Doomfist is C tier right now is mostly because if Soldier is the best hero in the game, right, or one of the best heroes in the game, and Doomfist is generally good into Soldier, you would think that Doom would be able to get more value. But since ranged poke right now is so good, Doom's ability to engage is way more limited, making him way more inconsistent, and consistency is the best thing to have in the game, right? So, you know, I like forcing Doom into heroes that have way better numbers than him per 10, way more consistent than him per 10. Just generally, depending on the map, in my opinion, is not a good choice if you want to climb. So, yeah, I'm putting Doomfist in C. He does not have the consistency right now to keep up with a lot of what's in the game. And especially since, like, players can just go Echo and just hard counter you. And it's like a force swap. So, too many things to checkmate Doomfist, in my opinion. Diva. I'm going to put Diva up in S. I think her ult buff was nuts, that she just did not need it. Her armor buff was nuts. Her flight duration buff was nuts. Diva's definitely overtuned right now, in my opinion. But it's mostly to compete with Double Shield and the Sigma. So we're back to it again. I will say that I think Diva's just one of the best heroes in the game. You can do so much. You have so many options. And most importantly, she's incredibly consistent. So Diva going to be an S tier hero. Wrecking Ball, I'm actually going to drop Ball down to B tier. And the reason for that is because of Soldier, right? These poke comps and these poke heroes, even though hit scan range has been nerfed, with Soldier's damage being as high as it is right now, you can oftentimes get Wrecking Balls much lower but on their approach, right? Compared to Mccree, like Soldier can output so much more against the ball because all of his bullets are doing the body shot, like with the Zen Discord or something. So I would say Ball is still very, very playable, but depending on the map and depending on if they have Soldier and like a really good poke comp, then, you know, it's going to be much harder to play Ball with that level of damage output being out there. Now, Jay Silly, all right, Junkrat, the good old rat. We're going to put him in C tier. He just isn't consistent or nearly as consistent as a lot of these characters. You know, if you're a good rat, you can definitely play him, but if you're looking to pick up characters, this character should only be something you play on very specific points on where he can excel. There's no reason to pick him over Torb, May, or Soldier, in my opinion, right now. So, yeah, Rat going down in the C tier. Reinhardt also going to go down in the C tier. Like, he just can't do as much as a lot of these other tanks, and he requires way more positioning and setups and trying to do the right thing, and it's not a very easy thing to do. So we're not even gonna bother with the Reinhardt pick. I almost want to put him in D tier because people in ranked cannot play him. Now Winston, I'm gonna say is A tier. I think with Ana, Brig, Diva, Winston can actually like kind of thrive. I think he's better than Ball in some of those situations. So yeah, Winston, gonna put him in A tier. He's definitely a solid pick right now, and if you're a main tank player, he's probably your last resort in your hero category if you don't want to conform to the Arisa. So yeah, Winston, A tier. Zen, I'm gonna say is S tier. I think that Zen has found his way to be one of the most consistent characters in the game in terms of what you can do with his damage, and mostly because Brig and Bap are in the game, it really hard counters main tanks like Reinhardt that would run rush or run dive to counter Zenyatta, if that makes sense. So Zen thrives when the movement speed of the game is much slower, and with all the high sustainabilities like Immortality Field, Brig Bash, etc., it's essentially forced the game to slow down a little bit compared to what it used to be. So Zen definitely going to excel from that. Definitely going to have the space he needs to put out all of his damage. Discord Orb, one of the best abilities in the game. Transcendence, one of the best abilities in the game. And Zen can just output so much damage. So Zen, going to be one of the best heroes in the game. As well as Brigitte, who, even after all of these nerfs, all these changes where people say she would be dumpstered, is still fundamentally insanely good. Like, I've talked about this for years. You watch my stream, you know. I've said that Brig is unfixable because of how she heals is just fundamentally overpowered, so it just has to get changed. And, you know, she has just survived an onslaught of nerfs and is still one of the best supports in the game. If not, in my opinion, I think she's the best support in the game alongside Bap, but Brig, like, definitely incredibly solid pick, especially the higher up you go in the rank. She just does so much more. So yeah, Echo, I'm gonna say A tier, but the reason why I say that, like, she is very hard to play, right? So at her skill ceiling, when you have like pro players on her, she is absolutely nuts. But if you're not as good mechanically, I wouldn't even recommend touching the character. It's a hero even I've been struggling a lot with up in GM. So if you're trying to learn a new character, that one's gonna be tough for sure. You need to learn discipline. And it's all about setting up your beam and going for those assassinations. But, you know, given her degree of difficulty to play and Soldier being as good as he is and Widow and a lot of hit scans still being strong besides Ashe, you know, Echo's going to be a tough play. So I kind of want to put her in B, but just because pros are so good with her and she can fit into the right comp, it's got to be at least A or S tier. So yeah, that's why I'm putting it there. This is kind of for heroes to play on ladder for you guys, by the way. So Tracer, going to be S. You can just do so much with her. Individual play. Like, if you're good, you will get value. So yeah, Tracer, really, really consistent pick. Solid around the board. Dominant character, has been since launch. Good for her. Now, Ashe has fallen off a little bit. We're going to put Ashe in B tier. And I think Ashe got it the worst from the hit scan nerfs, which I think she probably needed to. She was really, really strong from range. Her damage fall off is much longer now, so she does not have nearly as much of an advantage as she did before. But I still think she's a solid pick, and given the right situations and the right player, she definitely can still get a lot of value. Dynamite's really, really good. Bob is one of the best ultimates in the game. So yeah, Ashe, consistent value, good character. Here we go. Mercy, we're going to put in B tier, I think. I think Mercy in the right comps is really good, but that being said, I think Brig is just a much superior version of Mercy. Most of the time, like, there are times where if you have a Mercy instead of a Brig, you lose the game. But if you have the Brig instead of the Mercy, you can still win. So yeah, I think she's just an inferior version of Brigitte. So Sombra, I'm gonna put Sombra in C tier. Like, people in low ranks never really win with her. They don't know how to play with her, and even in high level play where there's a lot of coordination, she's generally not that good unless they're running like Ball Diva. So I think she's very situational. She's not as consistent. You can play her, but I think it's an uphill battle given like what a lot of the characters in the game do right now. Because the Soldier can just visor the EMP or, you know, Immortality Field or Trank or something like that. Like, you know, she's just very tough to be consistent with. So I would definitely recommend either play Tracer or Soldier over the Sombra right now. I know Genji. I'm gonna put Genji in B tier. I think he could pass for an A tier because there are a lot of comps and ranks you can run with him, but you know, he's like, the blade nerfs really, really hurt him, but the damage buff really, really helped him. And his problem was that he wasn't consistent in mid fights at all. Like, he couldn't put out the damage. But now he kind of can, at least enough to compete on some of these comps. So Genji, gonna be a B tier. I think he's in a good spot right now. So yeah, Genji, B tier character. Now Symmetra, I almost want to put her in A tier, but I'm gonna put her in B tier. On the right maps, especially on Koth, she is really, really, really good. Like, one of the best heroes in the game. You can run straight through teams and do so much. So, Symmetra, I'm going to put her in B tier. Yeah, just because of that consistency thing. Now, Hanzo, this is one I'm struggling with, right? Now, if I was to compare Hanzo to his original self, like, and how he fared in the game originally, I would put him in a much lower category. The options as Hanzo to carry team fights are just not nearly what they were. Now, for that reason, I can't put him above B tier. Like, you can sometimes get value, but he's very low. I honestly want to put him with Doomfist, but because he has the one shot, that makes him, like, sometimes get value. But the reality is, like, he's been hard countered by Baptiste, Sigma, Ball, heroes that, you know, you can't really deal with on your own, and they just, like, you just give Baptiste his ultimate if you Dragon Strike when he has drone. So Hanzo's really only good for forcing the BAP, and until BAP goes away and it goes back to Lucio Ana or Lucio Moira, like, Hanzo just, like, will never ever make it back into A or S tier. So he would need some buffs to do that. So Hanzo would not recommend playing him right now. There's no universe you want to play him over Soldier or like Widow. So Widow, I'm gonna put in A tier. Mostly because if you're a good, now this is if you're a good Widow, you can do so much. Depending on the map, you can just deadlift it like Habana or Junker Town. So, you know, one of the few heroes in the game that generally will force a mirror if you're good with her. So yeah, only if you're good with Widow. I still wouldn't recommend grinding the character if you were not good at sniping. So yeah, just the heads up. Bastion, I'm going to put in B tier as well. I think he could be, I kind of want to put him in A. He's a very gimmicky pick, but if you know where to set up and you have a team comp that can play around you, he's really, really good. So, yeah, Bastion, pretty good spot. Moira, I'm going to put in, I kind of want to put Moira in B tier, to be honest with you. Like, I don't think she's bad. I think if you get a rush comp with her and you can build Cole quickly, like a full death ball, like Sombra, Reaper, Monkey, Diva, Lucio, Moira, she'll be like really good. So like in the right setups, Moira is super, super strong. So I think that Moira mains have a chance to climb. Now Hog, this sounds silly. I want to put him in A tier because the amount, I'm going to put Hog in A tier because the amount of Hogs I see carrying now and ranked. This is not in contenders in Overwatch League. This is just in ranked where people don't get punished. Like Hogs are just unpunishable now because they don't feed their ult. They can just run around while healing. Like, I don't know, dude. I've never been a fan of Roadhog. It's just I think these buffs have really helped him a lot. And I see kids, and remember, I IQ ranked in the mornings on East Coast and GM, so like it's just an absolute circus. So in that circus, Hog really can thrive. So maybe he should be B tier. That one I'm very shaky on, but I think that Hog is just very good right now. And now Lucio, I'm putting him in B tier. I think there's some times where he's very good, but I'm gonna put him in C because he's very map dependent and team dependent. It's a coin flip of Lucio players right now. So yeah, that's my Overwatch hero tier list for season 30. Let me know in the comments if you agree with it, how your favorite heroes fared. Do you think that this is your season to climb? Let me know. Drunk Stream is on this Saturday, by the way, the 25th. So be ready for that, guys. I will see you all tomorrow. And daily uploads start today. Peace out.